This episode has been brought to you from the DGMS Studios, home of Don't Get Me Started, Lethal and Mully Live, and Surftown. Found at Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Hello and welcome to Don't Get Me Started. It's the mother of all podcasts with Keith and Lee. Hi, I'm Lee.
And I'm Keith.
Another week passes, back in the studio. Keith looks very rugged up. It's been cold in Noosa at the moment. We've had an Arctic blast. You okay, old fella?
Yes, doing well over here. I am bracing myself against the cold because it's just hit us.
Are you keeping yourself nice and warm with your tea cozy on your head and your slippers?
Who told you?
Little birdie again. That little birdie gets around, I tell you.
Yes, well, you knowing that, you can only just imagine what it would be like seeing myself rugged up in pajamas to get under the covers at night.
No, I don't think I'd like to.
See.
So we caught up this morning, had a nice coffee. We weren't in a hurry to get to work, and in the end we didn't go to work, so we decided we'd take the day off. Excited to get into studio, and here we are.
Well, bits and pieces and the need to do some of the bits and pieces is what we will talk about on this episode a little bit later because it goes right to the heart of responsibility. But I'd just like to say, Lee, that it's just been terrific to kind of cruise through the weekend. In some parts of Australia, it was King Charles's birthday. So in many parts of Australia, in fact, I think in nearly every single part of Australia, they had Monday off. But here in Queensland, which after all is named after the past monarchy,
Victoria.
Or Elizabeth, Queen's, it's her land.
Yeah.
We did not have a holiday for our current monarch, Charlie.
Did you find out why?
No, I didn't, because you know why? My interest in the so-called English royal family is zero. I couldn't give a fat flying fig.
Well, mate, you didn't take the day off. Or did you? You did, actually.
Yeah, I just cruised. I think I went surfing. Oh, well, that was another story. I wiped out and the surfboard came and hit underneath my armpit across my left chest. I thought I broke a rib. And then I hadn't, but it was really quite painful. And I was getting out of the water and I thought, how many bad wipeouts have I had over the years? I've had two that's knocked me semi-unconscious. I've knocked a tooth out. I've cut my leg severely that required internal stitches. And then I was nearly swept out to sea one time, which right on dusk, which would have been quite serious. And then this one here, which I thought cracked a rib.
Where did you nearly get washed out?
Well, it was here in Noosa.
Okay.
It was a cyclone swell, and I jumped off the rocks at Boiling Pot. This is going back many, many years ago. And it was summer, so, it doesn't get dark till about 7 o'clock. And so about 6 o'clock, I thought I'd jump in for a quick surf and just caught in this rip and just went whoosh. Took me straight out towards the Bommy, which you don't see much action of in the middle of Laguna Bay. And this pretty strong rip, and then I had to try and get myself out of the rip, paddling across it, but it still took me deep into the bay, well away from the shoreline, and then I had to paddle from way out, maybe a kilometre or so, back into the shore, and as I was getting back to the shore, the lights were coming on, and it was getting dark at dusk, so I had to get myself through big, large dumping waves on the sand.
Rips are scary. I remember getting caught in one, and it was from you, funnily enough, when we used to work together a long, long time ago as Noosa, hot, and we decided, we're working in Sunshine Beach, let's go and have a dip in the ocean. So we had a little competition to get there, and anyway, we got in the ocean.
I won that competition, I remember.
No, you didn't. No, you don't remember, Mully. This is the problem. You tried to trip me over. Can you remember that?
No. That was a kid who'd built a sandcastle.
Of course, yeah, in the shape of your hand, yeah. And I remember getting caught in, and you go, swim over. And I was like, if I was on my own, I wouldn't know what the hell to do. Of course, a massive lesson to be learned. Never forgot it. So thank you, Mully. I appreciate that.
So you're telling me that I saved your life?
Not really. You gave me a hand. In more ways than one.
Well, if you look at it another way, I was the one that put you into that life-threatening situation.
In the first place, yeah.
So I can't take any credit in this at all.
Absolutely not.
It's a wonder we're still talking to each other. One less pommy in the world.
Surfing. You had your Surftown podcast yesterday. You had a young man in named Zion.
Poi.
Yes. Check it out, Surftown. The episode was dropped today. It was nice to have a young man with a dream to become a surf filmmaker and to get, which we went to, which is called the Peregrine Digital Hub, where it's so professional. Screen Australia are pumping a crap load of money there to promote Queensland and especially Noosa to get them in here to make movies. And Zion has, did he say he got an intern or he was doing something there? It was an incredible eye-opener. It encouraged me in more ways than one when we went there to do it. So it was fascinating that Queensland is promoting Screen Australia. That came through from him, and he's got a movie on the Noosa International Surfing Film Festival, which you're going to. You said to me today you're going to every showing.
Yeah, I'm going to every showing. I brought a ticket to go to all 3 days to see all the movies. So I'll be sitting there one after another, taking my chocolate. When I was in Hong Kong, it was unreal, man.
Chocolate.
Yeah, when I was in Hong Kong, I had a buddy there. He used to sneak in alcohol. So we'd sit up the back and we'd have all our little snacks and we'd have little bottles of Chardonnay and we'd take glasses in and we'd sit up there and have a wine and have our snacks and always sat up the back. And we used to go to this one particular theatre in Causeway Bay that only showed Hong Kong and Chinese movies. And a lot of it is based on their martial arts, of course. So there are action stuff with Chen, I think his last name is, and of course Bruce Lee. And
Jackie Chan.
No, Jackie Chan was the name I was searching for, and quite a few others. And they'd always have English subtitles. And we'd be the only guilos, that means white guys, that in this particular theatre that was watching it. And it was unreal.
So you went there because there was no other theatre to go to watch any other English movies. So
oh yeah, there's a Broadway Critique up in Yamate, has all art house movies, and it's really a really cool place. They've got a good bookstore up there, and you can see a lot of current movies, and there's a lot of art house music, European style music. Movies, rather.
You've been to the Gold Class here in Queensland and Brisbane?
No, I haven't.
Where you go there and you've got this beautiful seat and they come and give you a nice little cover to keep you warm if you're cold.
Oh.
And they bring you your refreshments. You ask before whether you want wine or beer and they bring you little nibbles. It's incredible.
I must go. Where is it?
Gold Class. Yeah, it's called Gold Class.
In Brisbane or the Gold Coast?
I think around, we haven't got one here, but I think in Brisbane they've got one. And the Gold Coast, a spacious seat. They look after you. They bring you drinks intermittently. It's great stuff. You pay more for it, but it's worth it.
Well, this was just a sort of a local theatre. It wasn't flash.
I could just see you and your mate with your little nibbles and your shardy.
Yeah, it was great. We always sat up the back, had a special seat where you could stretch your feet out. But this recalls another theatre that I went to in Athens, and this was years ago, and it was open air. It was all set up so that you could take your snacks in or you could buy them and you could buy beers and wine there. And they had little round tables either side of the chairs, and you could sit back and you could put all your condiments and refreshments there. And they had other little semi-enclosed areas on the side that were set up for your own private party. So you could take a party of 4 or 5, 6 people into the movies with you and have all your little indulgences before the evening's entertainment. In fact, it made such an impression upon me, I can even remember the movie that I saw. And it was called Mud with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I see. It's a good movie.
Yeah, so, I'm not a movie buff, but it was at that time of my stay in Athens coming to an end. When you've been there, you've done that, you've seen all the sights. Well, what am I going to do? And I was walking along and I saw this theatre and it had a sign out to say it was one of the top 20 movie theatres in the world. And I went and had a wonderful experience.
Good on you, mate. Well, enjoy the Surf Festival. You have to tell me all about it. I just want to do a shout out to a few people with our podcast. So we've had some new countries coming online as cities now, which is very interesting. This one is called, and I apologise in advance if I pronounce these are all incorrect. This is called Falkenstein. It's in Saxony in Germany.
Hello, boys and girls.
And Falkenstein means falcon and stone rock.
Sounds an interesting place.
We have another one, Portland, Oregon. Hey, fellas, how are you? I wonder how Trump's going over there. I might have to cut that out. Hello, fellas, Portland, Oregon. Thanks for listening.
So the Yankee Doodles are listening.
We are. They are, sorry. We have one called Kakan Valdemar, which is in Paris. A big shout out to Brisbane, who is our #1 downloader of our podcast in Australia.
So that's our largest listening base.
Brisbane.
Good old
We
Brisbane.
love you. Talking about more in Australia, Camden. Now, Camden's in New South Wales, which is in the heart of the Macarthur region. Thanks, fellas. Keep listening. You've downloaded quite a few, I see, in one go. I hope you like them. If you do, let us know. Glasgow City in Scotland. We have Bellefontaine in Ohio, another American listener.
Hello.
And Bellefontaine means beautiful fountain, which is referring to their local natural springs. So good on you, fellas. Keep listening. And finally, we have Utrecht, which is in the Netherlands, which is home of their largest university. So thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Let us know if I've pronounced them incorrectly. And if you would have any other inquiries, questions, any topics you would like us to talk about, please send us an email to don'tgetmestarted2024@gmail.com, all lowercase, all in one word. I'll repeat that. don'tgetmestarted2024@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Now, that's really interesting. And a little quick story on this. You said that we have a listener in Camden, which is in the Macarthur area in the west of Sydney. Now, do you know why that part of Sydney is called Macarthur? Now, I'll tell you why. I can tell by the look on your face you don't know. Have you heard of a very infamous episode in Australian history called the Rum Rebellion?
No.
This is fascinating. It'll only take about...
When was this?
Oh, this would have been in the early 1800s.
Oh, okay.
Now, what happened was that might have even been a little bit before that, but around about that time, Sydney back then was still a growing, fledgling colony. It hadn't really become a city. It was pretty much a rural town that was growing. And John Macarthur was a very clever guy, and he realised that some of the land out there in the Camden area was suitable for sheep farming. So he started up his farm with sheep, and it grew and it grew, and he became very rich, and with a lot of riches often comes position of influence and power. So much so that basically he was running the whole colony of Sydney. Now, England, of course, had sent out their governor, who was the official person who was supposed to be running the colony of Sydney. But Macarthur had the money, had the power, the personality and the drive, and he was actually telling the governor what to do. So much so that he was the king of Sydney and getting very rich. Now, the governors at that time were rotated by London. So the current governor at that time was recalled back to London, and a new governor came out. And guess who he was? You won't guess.
No, of course I won't.
I'll tell you. He was Captain Bligh.
Oh, yes.
From the Mutiny on the Bounty.
Yes, I have heard. Yes, you've told me this story before.
So he, from being thrown overboard in the middle of the Pacific, him and 12 others in an open rowing boat managed to navigate their way to Indonesia, and from there they got themselves back to England. And in time, because he was a government servant, he was sent out to be the new governor of the colony of Sydney, New South Wales. And he was a man of the letter. He was a man who had to have everything done exactly by the book, which is why Christian Fletcher tossed him over the side of the boat out there in the Pacific. That was the mutiny, because Christian Fletcher was a casual sort of bloke and he couldn't stand this captain who was so very strict. When Bligh became governor and landed in Sydney, he still had that same pedantic, strict, unbending nature. And of course, he ran into this guy, John Macarthur, who was running the colony to get himself rich. He was controlling the police, and the major way he paid the police was in rum. So the new governor, Bligh, when he saw what this guy was doing, he said, "You can't do that. You know, you're taking advantage of the Crown's assets here. You're using this as your own private kingdom to get wealthy." And Macarthur said, "That's your version of events." He said, paraphrasing here, he said, "Buggy you, mate, you can get lost." So Bligh went up against him. So Macarthur got him clapped in irons, sent him back over to England on the nearest ship, get rid of him, just see you later, don't care if you are the governor, you're out of here. The governor got over there, said to all the authorities, "Do you know what that John Macarthur's doing back down there in Sydney? You know, he's nothing but a bloody mob gangster leader." And they said, "All right, well, we'll get somebody to go out there and arrest him." So they did. Mind you, this to and fro between London and Sydney back in those days was under sail. So a ship's voyage
Took
could
a bit
take
of time.
Yeah, anywhere between 3 to 6 months. So they sent another guy, they sent some heavyweights out from London to arrest Macarthur and to put him in irons and then sail him back to London, which they did. And when he got over there, he thought, "Oh, this is pretty good. You know, these are all the people who are importing my wool." So he said to the authorities, "Oh, no, you know, it's all blown out of proportion. I'm actually doing you guys a favour. Look at all the wool I'm sending over here. You're all getting rich. You know, I'm helping you prosper. Some of the money I'm making, you're getting here in the trade." And they all thought from their wallets rather than their principles. They said,
As you do.
John, you know, just be a good boy when you go back there." And they let him go. Now, that rising up against the new governor Bligh, that's called the Rum Rebellion, part of Australia's history.
I love all that stuff. So, Keith, let's get on to the subject.
Oh, we have a subject?
We have, which is...
We do. I remember now because I'm reading a fascinating book at the moment.
I remember now.
The book is Catherine the Great and Potemkin. It's based around their relationship, and the guy who wrote it, his name is Simon Sebag Montefiore, and he's done a fantastic job, and he talks about their relationship, and he talks about how it affects their life. And in explaining the psychology of their relationship, which was very colourful to say the least, there's little life observations of life, and it got me thinking, is life for all of us a ball and chain? That was the thought that I came across, and I thought, well, that'd be a terrific thing to talk about. Is life a burden? Is life itself, no matter our station, no matter our circumstances, is life itself a burden? Can it be a ball and chain around our very being?
As you know, we think about it before, we have a few days to mull over it. And I thought about it and I thought, well, I don't mind it. I like that. I like the ball and chain. But I thought about it a bit more and I thought, well, are we chained to life? Like we could be chained to our dreams, our desires, even our ego. Ball and chain refers to something or someone that burdens or restricts our freedom. And the old ball and chain at home didn't really work with me, but the chain bit did. So you could be chained to your job, you could be chained to a relationship, responsibilities, or even a habit, which we all have and all chained to. And I think it's a good thing that we are chained to something. And I'll talk a little bit later on the different, what it symbolised, what chain is. But I thought that fitted better.
That's so typical of you, Lee. You always like to look at the glass being half full, don't you? Where I was approaching this like, is life a ball and chain that is something that's around us, pulling us down or holding us back in some way or another? So I'm looking at it from the half empty glass side or as a negative side, but you're looking at it, yes, that's a good thing. You could be tied to something that's positive.
Yes, well, I'll talk a little bit later about it because it is. There's a positive side, which is very unusual for me to be looking in that different stratosphere where I'm normally hanging out at. With the chain as well, could be your dreams. You're chained to your dreams, your desires.
See what I mean? You're going positive
your
again.
Financials. I think we are chained to it. Like you and I, in a way, we're chained to one another because we are together.
Hang on, I crossed myself.
Yeah, like that. I also look, because the ball and chain, obviously, as we all know, was made for convicts and it was made to stop them running away. Now, I thought, I'm going to check about this ball and chain. Now, do you know how much it weighs?
Can I guess?
Guess it.
12 pounds.
Nearly 36 pounds, which is 17 kilos. So it was a sort of imprisonment because you were left alone, but you couldn't go anywhere. You had to carry this. But the chain bit, you were chained to the ball. And so for me, I asked myself, do I want to run away from life? Am I free to run away from life? And I think we do need the chains, but we don't need the ball.
Are you free to run away from life, Lee?
I think it's what you put on, like I was saying. So everybody, I think, not everybody, I think most people are chained to something.
I mean, you personally.
Me personally,
Yes.
No, I don't want to run away from it. I want to run to it.
So you're going the other way. Instead of it being a ball that's holding you back.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at chained in a different way, and I'll explain this in a minute.
You are.
So it's more of a positive way, not a negative way. People will look at it in a negative light. I'm chained, which means imprisonment.
Or held back. You don't have to necessarily be imprisoned, although ultimately you are. If life is a burden that you have to carry, or it's a weight, a ball, so to speak, that you have to carry, it's a prison of sort, isn't it?
It is.
You can't go swimming
It's imprisonment.
You can't go swimming, for example. Probably couldn't hop on an aeroplane.
But chains symbolise a few things. As we were saying, imprisonment. It could be a bond between people, like you and I, because we are chained together in our dream to go on with podcasting, with our guests, with our topic. We love this time that we can get together. We're chained in that.
What if you're tied together to a relative that you don't like?
Well, you just break that chain and go, mate. You should never, ever be chained with that. You should know better. Also, chains could mean eternity, where you're chained together for eternity. Strength. You'll like this one. Karl Marx famously announced, the proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains.
I love it. I do love it.
They have a world to win. So clearly the communists saw chains as a symbol of imprisonment.
Yeah, to their overlords who had the power, the influence and the money, and of course the bosses, what he called the means of production. So, or even going back further, before talking about the workers in mines and factories, you had throughout Europe and Russia and Central Eurasia, all that area, serfs, and they were chained to their masters. In fact, back in those days, 200 years years ago in Russia, they called them souls. So if you had some favor given to you by the emperor or the empress, you'd not only get lands, you'd be given 2,000 souls, for example.
I love the word proletarians. My wife calls me that a lot.
Does she?
Yeah, she does.
The snobby little girl.
I know.
What do you call her? Bourgeoisie?
Oh, look, my wife thinks she's a racehorse, not a cart horse. So I'm not going to disagree with that.
I have a little aside here on Karl Marx. Do you know when he died, how many people attended his funeral?
10.
About that. And one of them might have been Engels, I'm not sure, stood up and said, this man here is a great man and his work is in the future and it will shake the world.
Well, a lot of people don't really know his sister, Anya.
How do you know her?
Anya Marx. Get set.
Oh, now I know how you know. You look up bad jokes.
No, I just remembered that one. I saw that a long time ago, but I remember Karl Marx saying once about the proletarians and change.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I thought, I'm going to look that up, which I've done. The symbolism of change for me, it could be you wear a necklace. So you can wear chains around your neck as wealth, as I am free. It's like the A-Team with B.A. Baracus. He was covered with chains and he was putting it across because that was his freedom from the chains that bound his brothers that came to America. It was his way of saying, I'm free.
His display of his liberty.
Yeah, with the chains. So he wore them proudly. And so while they usually mean imprisonment, there are situations where they can also mean connectivity and love.
See, you're doing it again. See, Lee, I was approaching this subject like that life is a burden, that none of us can get away from what we have to do. A lot of times people think that the burden of life is the other people that you are joined to in a relationship, in a marriage, in a family, your colleagues in a work situation, your neighborhood. And so their definition of getting rid of that chain, that ball that's tying them to those person, is to get away from them, to be alone. Some people want to see life as a burden because they have responsibility. And responsibilities mean that you have to be disciplined because a great deal of life is not exciting. A great deal of life is mundane. It's washing your clothes, cleaning the floors, keeping your house tidy, washing up your dishes after a meal, looking after your own hygiene. That's just for yourself, let alone if you're a parent and you have
others,
you have others coming through that you're responsible for. So a lot of people want to get away from the mundane responsibilities of life, washing the car, mowing the lawn, going to work on time.
Like they say, I'm chained to the sink.
There you go.
I'm chained to the washing machine. So the symbolism of chains is highly contextual. This is perhaps thanks to the diverse ways it can be used. Furthermore, iron chains symbolize strength, brother. Power to the people.
I'm going to look at this from, a philosophical point of view and even a Marxist point of view, The philosophical point of view is that, life to some degree is a burden. We all have to do some basic form of responsibility towards ourselves, our town, our family, our work, our environment, our culture. You can't get away from what you have to do. Like there's some things that I have to do that I don't like doing, but it's essential. I must manage my finances very well.
Then you must build that change stronger.
Yeah, I should. And I should be more methodical in taking note of all the details, such as a bill that should be paid on time.
Link it together.
So instead of, I'll get a bill and I'll go, I'll just pay that later on. So instead of getting a diary and say, it has to be paid by the 15th of June, I'll just have it in the back of my head somewhere, it's got to be paid in June somewhere. All right, so where is that piece of paper? So I'll go and get it or the email and I'll go, oh my God, I should have paid that last week.
I always wait for the disconnection letter.
So what happens is, I'm a week later, sometimes a month later, there's a penalty of extra $60 on the bill. And it's like, grizzle, swear.
No.
So, I try, my burden is to manage the details of my financial affairs, which drives me crazy. I mean, I can pay the bill. It's just that I have to be attentive enough to know that it should be paid at a particular time. I've actually got a diary now that I write things in.
That's a good thing, Molly. It does help you.
Is that some progressive maturity?
Absolutely. But when you first came up with this, I thought, yes, because we are all chained to something. Whether we like it or not, not. It is what it is, and we have to do it. Like I always say, it is what it is. We have to work with that. But with the chain, I don't look at it as an imprisonment, because then what you're doing is what you really want to be doing. I want to do it to the best I can possibly do, and to make that stronger in the end. It's like the main element that gives chains their uniqueness is the interlinking of the chain, which when interlinked can be strong and powerful. That's how I view it now. Through what you said a few days ago, what the topic we're on, I've totally seen this in a completely different light. So I think if you do, you can grasp it and you can run with it and you can make it stronger. I think it's like now, as we've got to do in ourselves, we've got to look for the next 10 years, 15 years in our life, which means we've got to build our body stronger to not for now, but for the 10, 15 years down the track. But it's up to you whether you want to do that or not, whether you want to make it stronger or not, because the chain in the end is going to snap. It's going to break.
No, I like what I'm hearing here because, whilst I've been looking at it from, say, a negative point of view, or if you like, oh, yeah, life is a drag, it is a burden, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I've got a lot of that in me. I've had quite a few periods in my time where I've lived alone. And it's like, oh, my God, I've got to clean the flat. And I drag myself. You've got to, you must, because you can't live in a pigsty. But it's not easy for me sometimes to motivate myself to attend to the little details, the little duties, the little responsibilities that I should. Now, listening to you, so I can sometimes look at those things and see them as a burden, a ball and a chain. Like, I don't want to clean the flat now. No. It's a free day. I'm going surfing. I'm not going to spend 2 hours cleaning the flat. It can wait. And, of course, the next day you get a phone call and it goes, Molly, what are you doing? You say, oh, nothing much. Come around. We'll have a game of cards or have a bottle of wine. It's like, bang, I'm out the door.
You're gone.
So the cleanliness of the flat compounds and compounds and compounds. And then I have the things to fill the week and I think, well, I'll do it on the weekend. And it keeps putting off. So if you have that approach, which I can do easily in a lot of those little responsibilities of life, then it becomes a problem and it builds up and it builds up on you. But what you're saying is that if you approach it as a strong link in terms of what you must do and you manage it well, then you're on top of it. And so you're actually not underneath what would be a burden, but you're on top of it. So it's not a ball or a chain dragging you down. You're actually managing it. And because you're managing the weight of your responsibilities, that's making you stronger. And that's actually giving you more freedom.
Mentally stronger.
Yeah, well, it's giving you more freedom.
Yes.
Because your situation isn't deteriorating, say, for example, like my dusty flat, which gets worse and worse and bothers my head, do what I must do it. You're not being tormented like that because you've attended to it. So you're becoming stronger, you're mentally stronger, and you actually find that when you clean your flat, for example, mine's built up over 3 weeks of dust, so it takes me X amount of time because you do yours regularly. Yours is a shorter period of time. So according to how you approach it, you actually have more freedom.
Yeah, and it's not on the list where I've got to do it, I'm going to leave it. It's got to be done. So you don't think about it, you just do it. I don't believe in the if, buts and maybes and shoulda, woulda, couldas because, like I said before, they're wasted words. They should be thrown out. But like you and I over the past year and a bit, so we have got chained together. So over the past year and a bit, you and I have been chained together. So we're linking our podcasting, our enterprises, our friendship harder, faster. And we said today, okay, Keith, we got to get this done, and this done because then that clears that out. So that'll be linked up. That's another bit of the chain. So then we can then add more, which means gives us more freedom to do other things.
Yes.
So it all blends into this topic, which again, most of them come from you. And I like that because then I can work on them and turn them around into positives. Because not that you're coming from the negative, but you're reading book and you're taking all that in. So if there was a world where you could sit down all day and read books, you would be the happiest person ever.
Oh, well, I will. Actually, that's one of the problems I'm having at the moment. Many years ago, I was very regular in getting up, walking out the door, doing a walking exercise. I'd do some Tai Chi, and then I'd come home and have my breakfast and read. Now I'm finding that all I want to do is just go straight to my book and get a cup of coffee. So I'm not out walking as much. I'm not doing my Tai Chi as much. I'll often wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and bang, straight into that book. I remember I was reading Bruce Springsteen's book. What did he call it? About his life. It's an autobiography. It's a surprisingly good read. And I remember I woke up one morning, 3 o'clock, and I just went straight to it and had an engaging couple of hours. And then, of course, went back to bed.
Engaging. I love that.
Yeah. And, of course, I told you I'm reading about Catherine the Great now in Potemkin. And it's fascinating.
Now,
Absolutely.
you spoke about that last time because there's a little bit on there about Mick Jagger.
Yeah, well, he reviewed the book. Not exactly profound. It was to the point. His review was, it's a great read.
I can just hear him say that. But he's 80 odd, and I saw a video of him, and he was doing his moves for the next show. I don't know whether the Rolling Stones are touring again, but I couldn't believe it. He's 80 and he's moving around that stage like he's a 28-year-old. So there's a guy that's built strong chains for him because he wants to carry on doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And good on you, Mick. Well done.
Yeah, good on him. A lot of music critics and cultural snobs are down on the Rolling Stones because they're saying, look, you boys, you've had your day. You're just a caricature of what you used to be, and your old has-beens just rolling out the hits.
Who are these people?
Oh, I think they're sour grapes. I mean, these guys...
They should be chained up.
The Rolling Stones have something like 300 to 400 songs, original songs.
They're
They've got
amazing.
this massive catalogue of music that they've contributed to Western culture over the last 60 years, right? And they own them. That is their creation that has brought massive, untold pleasure to untold millions. So if those guys who are enjoying themselves want to get up on the stage at 80 and jump around and playing these fantastic songs, still in a very high musical professional level, want to do it, good luck to them.
Who are we to stop them?
If you don't like them, don't go and see them.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut.
You
Don't criticise them. What are you doing, you smart aleck critic?
Oh, they're shocking.
If you don't like it, don't go and see them. I'll tell you what, if they come anywhere near me, I'm going to see them.
Don't start me up, mate.
Please do. Please do. And Lee, get off my cloud.
Yes.
Three's a crowd.
Good on you, mate. Well, as always, we come to the end of the episode. This one's been interesting. I've really liked this one for some reason. I think because it's changed my perspective on the ball and chain, which has been phenomenal. So, Mully, as always, I'll leave you the last word.
Well, I'll just wrap up in saying, we've been talking about his life. A burden? Are we tied to a ball and chain? And as Lee likes to point out, we don't have to be. In fact, if we're not, we're better for it. And I've looked at the other side of it. Yeah, sometimes we are because we have to pick up the necessaries and the responsibilities. But I like Lee's way of thinking a lot better. Don't let life be a burden. Don't let it be a ball and chain. Pick up what you have to do. Carry your responsibilities. Get stronger. And you'll find that you're going to be a better person and you're going to have more freedom. How's that for a finish? Huh?
Incredible. Good
All
on you, Mully.
Good on you, everybody out there listening to us. We love you heaps. And until next time, please like, share, comment, and it's hooroo from me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Don't Get Me Started with Keith and Lee. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast. To see more of Don't Get Me Started, jump onto our socials, follow us on Instagram at Lethal and Mully, Facebook and LinkedIn. If you would like to be a part of the show, email us on don'tgetmestarted2024@gmail.com. Until next time.